What's up, everyone? I am Tony, and welcome back to the TLZ podcast. Before we get started today, make sure you guys click the like button and the subscribe button down below. Make sure you show that support for the channel. And now let's get into the podcast today. Joining us today is Timothy Lamb, who recently just qualified for the Tokyo Olympics for Team USA. Welcome, Timothy.
Yo, thank you, Tony. Thank you so much for having me.
For sure, man. It's awesome seeing you. And I actually, knew Timothy since I was very young because we were teammates. Like when I was like super young, like five, like 6, 7, something like that. Do you remember?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Before we start, I just wanted to say I can't believe how much you've grown, Tony. I remember like back in the day when we were training in UBC, like those good old days. I remember you and your older brother were like such big troublemakers, always running around, with your parents coaching, and yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I almost forgot. You started training like we were training together since UBC, and then we were training together when we went to ZBTC. So like we've known each
Yeah,
other
yeah,
for a
yeah.
long, long time, like literally since the beginning.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's
I
crazy.
still remember you were like a baby, you and your
Yeah,
brother.
I was super annoying. I think I was more annoying than Ricky was, like when I was young.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and also Ricky
It's
worked.
understandable though. I mean, you guys were little kids.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
really young, and also your brother trained too, with my mom, and obviously he went to the Youth Olympics, right? And he's super accomplished in badminton. And I did see on your Instagram before we started the podcast, and I saw he got married. So definitely congratulations, Zenis, on getting married. And I do want to ask, how much like influence did your brother have on your badminton career?
Yeah, he had a lot of influence. I think my older brother is I think 5.5 years older than me, and so I think in terms of like badminton and just in like life in general, I always looked up to him as a role model. I'm sure you know like with Ricky and too, but like I think everything your older brother does, you kind of tend to always want to follow in his footsteps. Something that he does, you also want to do as well.
Mhm.
Or like let's say he accomplishes something, and then you also want to do that as well. And so I think that's it can be most of the time. I think it's good for us that we have someone to look up to, someone to like push us, and then also at the same time someone to I guess coach us, mentor us, and so I think it's definitely good.
Yeah.
Obviously, Zenith was didn't continue playing badminton, but I think up until he stopped, he was always a very good role model, and even today he still coaches me a lot and gives me a lot of advice for like badminton matches and just in life in general.
Hmm. Yeah, Zenos was always like very hardworking, in when he was
Yeah,
training. And
yeah,
when did you decide to pursue your badminton dream? Like go for like, professional badminton?
yeah. So it's funny because I initially first decided to want to pursue international badminton. It was a little different from my goal to pursue my Olympic dream. But I think if I had to choose one event in which kind of like sparked my interest to like pursue badminton at the international stage was I think when I won the 2014 Junior Pan American Championships in Guatemala. Um, I think for that tournament, I didn't really have an expectation of winning the whole competition because I think it was like my first year under 19, and then I was considered like the underdog. And so I think that year, once I won the whole tournament, I realized that I had the potential to, maybe compete at the international stage. That event really like kind of like changed my whole life.
Mhm. Yeah, you kind of broke up a little bit, but I can kind of get what you're saying. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously it was like a big impactful tournament for you, right? That kind of showed you that you had the potential to be like be a
Yeah.
professional player. And I know exactly what you're talking about, especially when you're at that age, when you're like in
Yeah.
U19, that's when players start thinking, should I pursue or should I go to college and just like, go on with like the
Yeah.
going to college, getting a job and stuff like that. And I think a lot of players can definitely like, like see that in themselves
Mm-hmm.
too. And I was curious, like,
Yeah.
did you train during college or did you like stop for a while?
Yeah. So I attended college in Cal Poly Pomona. So for those who don't know, Cal Poly Pomona it's in SoCal. It's exactly right next to Global Badminton Academy, where Tony Gunawan coaches. So I was very lucky enough to be able to still go to school, get my degree while still be able to pretty much almost train like 5 to 6 days a week for 2 to 3 hours a day. So I'm very grateful to Tony and the rest of the coaches at GBA for letting me train with them and obviously for this opportunity, because I think if I didn't get the opportunity to train when I was in college, I probably wouldn't be where I am today, because what college is. That's
Oh yeah.
you know what college does to you. Yeah, like
Yeah.
so much distractions and.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, I'm really surprised you trained that much. You trained that much during college. Like, how did you
Yeah.
manage? Because you obviously had classes and you graduated
Yeah.
already, but how did you manage all that?
Well, I definitely think the 5 minute walking distance from my college wasn't an excuse to not train. Um, but yeah, I think right when I entered college, I I already had a love for badminton, and so I think training to me was already like a second nature. Even from like my middle school and high school days,
Mhm.
my daily life was basically go to school in the morning, and then after that go train. So I think doing that same thing in college wasn't too much of a challenge to me. It's just blocking out the distractions that I face in college, which I don't think was too hard either, because going into college, my mindset was like, okay, I think I knew I wanted to, like, compete at the adult international level. So I felt like, okay, maybe I could try this. And so I think, just doing that second nature thing, it all became very easy to me.
I see. That makes a lot of sense. And you did mention how you train in GBA because it was like super
Mhm.
close to your school, right? And now that you graduated, where do
Yeah.
you train now? And like, why did you choose that club to train in?
Yeah. So I'm back home now. Obviously here back in Northern California. So right now I currently train at the Bay Badminton Center, BBC in Milpitas. Um, I graduated in 20 summer of 2018, but then right when I graduated, I kind of like bounced back between clubs. But majority of the time, I trained in China for several times. I think 2 or 3 times in Guangzhou. So yeah, that I think that training in Guangzhou really helped me, get some good sparring, a lot of good like physical training. Yeah, so I think I just bounced back between clubs. I think I started off at like in Synergy, and then I eventually in before COVID hit, I changed to BBC.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I see. Nice. And you did mention how you went to China to train, and obviously you traveled a
yeah,
lot, to international series where you won one title and four runner-up medals, right? Which one do
yeah,
you think out of all those international series was the toughest, and which one was like the most memorable?
yeah. I think the most toughest international series was right when I came back from China in 2018. I played the Mexico International Series. So that tournament was exactly right when I came back from training in China. And so I think I had like the reason why that tournament was, I guess, a little tough for me was because I had a little sort of expectation that, oh, okay, I've trained in China for a few months, I feel really good physically, mentally, skillfully. And so I had like a sort of expectation for myself that, okay, maybe I could do well, go far in the tournament. But I think I got knocked out first round by someone from Portugal. And so I think I felt really down about that. But it's funny because right after Mexico, I traveled to Guatemala for a Guatemala International. And so that tournament, I got second place, which I think that tournament was probably the most memorable one, because that was my first adult international medal. And so the reason why that tournament was so memorable was because I started off in qualification. And then I basically had to fight my way through all the way to the finals, which I eventually lost to Kevin Cordon from Guatemala. So I think that was a very good experience and memorable tournament for me.
Nice. And I like how you mentioned Kevin Cordon, which you lost to, right? In that tournament. I did also
Mm,
notice that you lost to him in the most recent Pan Am games that just occurred. And you guys
yeah.
played like a lot, I think, against each other. What is it about him that makes it tough for him? Like makes it tough for you to play him?
Yeah, so I think from a spectator point of view, like watching him play, it might not seem that hard because he's pretty old. I think he's around like almost like late 30s or something.
Mhm.
He's played in like 4 Olympics.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and so he's when you see him play, he doesn't really move much, because I think he relies a lot on his skill and his experience instead of his physical strength. And so that's why on court he doesn't seem so fast. But I think what makes him really lethal is his his experience and his ability to know when to change speed, which I think sometimes is what young players and it's also what I miss. It's also what I feel like I'm missing as well. So I think yeah, that's what really makes him dangerous.
Yeah, and I remember like since the most recent tournament you played in was the Pan Am Games in 2021, which was like a
Yeah.
month ago, I think. And before
Hmm.
that tournament, I saw you actually when you were playing with my brother Ricky in the gym.
Yeah.
And then we were talking, and you said that the 2021 Pan Am Games is super important in order for you to make the Olympics. How did you feel going into that game, and how did it feel when you were playing it, like the tournament?
Yeah. So before I went to Guatemala for the Pan Am Championships, I knew that the tournament was extremely crucial for me in terms of like qualifying for the Olympics. Um, but I mean, obviously, I try not to think about it too much because I was afraid it was going to affect my performance. And so I think I just wanted to go into that tournament with the mindset of, okay, I'm this probably, might be my last international tournament. I'll just do my best. And so, yeah, I think I met my goal of making the quarterfinals because I knew that if I made the quarterfinals, I would have a good chance of qualifying for the Olympics.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's just a little unfortunate that I couldn't play to my full potential against Cordon.
Mhm. I think it would have
Mm.
been super crazy if you beat him in that tournament because like you lost
Yeah,
him
yeah,
previously, but that's okay. I'm sure you'll
yeah,
get your chance again, And
yeah,
after you made the Olympics, right? We know like you're in the same group as Kento Momota, right? And that's like
yeah.
huge because I saw that and I was like, because I was just looking through the draws and everything. I was like, wow,
Mm,
Timothy is playing Kento Momota, like that's crazy. How did you feel
yeah.
about that?
Yeah, to be honest, just even competing at the Olympics is like such a once in a lifetime opportunity for me. But I think to compete against the world number one at the Olympics is just something that I can't really comprehend. So it's funny when they were doing the drawing for the men's singles draw, I kind of had a feeling that I kind of had like I don't know, like a calling from God that like I would be playing against Kento Momota for some
Yeah.
reason. And so then it's funny, like when they picked out the ball, they said, "Oh, Timothy Lamb, Group A with Kento Momota." I was like, "Oh my goodness, you kidding me?"
Yeah. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's a
So I
great
mean,
opportunity.
yeah,
But go ahead, go ahead.
yeah. So I think right now it's obviously I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity to play against him. Right now, just I think my mindset is to just have fun with it. Obviously, just to do my best, and hopefully, I can give him a run for his money.
Yeah, take him to at
We'll
least three
see.
sets. We'll be watching. We'll definitely be watching that game. And I do want to know because, like, obviously, in order for you to get to where you are, you have to train really hard, right? So, what would a
Hmm.
day in Timothy's life look like with training and everything?
Yeah, so usually my training schedule changes a lot, obviously because of the depends on like my coach's availability, but I think like on average, training a day in the life of my life usually would be like I wake up in the morning and then I go train for like 2.5 hours and then come back, eat lunch, um, and then I usually spend the rest of the day studying because I'm actually also pursuing my CPA license for accounting, and so usually I spend the rest of the day. Uh, yeah, I usually spend the rest of the day just studying, and then maybe like an hour in between, um, doing like an extra hour of like physical session of like maybe some like running, weight training or cycling or yeah, doing some kind of physical training.
I see. That's a really packed full day, but that's what it takes
Yeah, yeah,
to have like
yeah.
really good time management. And
Mhm.
going back to the Olympics, right? You did post this actually on your Instagram on your story how like there's gonna be no fans. I think like no one in the arena.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you feel about that? Because that actually impacts like things a lot, don't you think?
Yeah, I think for some people it really makes a huge difference. Like some players they draw their support and like from the crowds. But I mean, to be honest, for me, as long as they're still able to hold the event without, just as long as they're still able to hold the event, I think that's what really matters. Um, yeah, I think obviously it takes away from the whole like Olympic experience with spectators and all, but I think I'm just really glad that they're still able to host the event, hopefully successfully.
Yeah. I think most importantly, just get the event happening because obviously right now with
Yeah, yeah,
like the new variants coming out and everything, but we're just hoping for
mm-hmm.
the best. And
Yeah,
I'm sure I think we like as like US Team USA people, like I think we have an advantage in this point because like usually not too many USA people are there watching the game. Usually it's like Indonesia or like
yeah,
crazy countries who's like banging drums in the audience and stuff. And it
yeah,
can sometimes get distracting, but yeah, I totally agree. And I was just wondering, are you gonna change your training in any way now that you made the Olympics? Like, are you gonna train more, or have you adjusted?
yeah. Yeah, obviously I've been training more the past week or so. But at the same time, I don't want to like do too much training to like maybe make me susceptible to like injuries. But I've over the last week or so, I've been trying to get more sparring sessions in, work on my physical training because playing Kento Momota won't be easy. So
Yeah.
definitely need to improve my stamina.
hmm I feel you. And last thing, I just want to ask if you have any advice for like younger players who might want to pursue the same dream that you have, what would it be?
Yeah. I think just be willing to make a lot of sacrifices. I think sometimes it's hard to achieve both sides of the coin sometimes, regardless of whatever it is. And so I feel like sometimes you need to give up one thing in order to achieve another thing. Like I feel like for me during my college life, I didn't really, I guess, have like a college life. Like I didn't go to like parties or hang out with friends like a lot of the times. And so usually I would use that time to train, uh, do my schoolwork or whatever. And so I felt that that was like a huge boost in helping me achieve my Olympic dream.
hmm That's really good advice. I think like even like when you're not playing professional, when you're just playing these junior tournaments, you're already starting to get that where you can't go out when you like
Yeah,
with your friends when they're going to the movies or something, and you have to stay back and
yeah,
like work on your craft. Because
yeah,
but it's just like on another level once you want to pursue that bigger dream, right? And I totally agree
exactly.
with that. Yeah, and also all that time management is really important. And
Yeah.
yeah, I totally know what you mean. Now
Mm-hmm.
let's get into the viewers' questions.